Hello, all, and welcome to tonight's beer review. So, I haven't gone and done the side by side comparison of the two Okolehawas yet. Why? Because I just wanted to take a break and review some beer. My first and original love. Well, technically, my first and original love was wine, but I never got around to reviewing wines, but I'm digressing here. So, what are we reviewing? Well, I realized I've never actually reviewed this brand before. Echigo beer from Japan, Niigata, Japan, and this is, I believe, one of their flagships, Koshihikari. And Koshihikari, as you can see from the art here, this brand really loves making nice can art here. Koshihikari refers to the rice that is used, which I believe is the sake rice. So the person who founded this brewery is, he was the son of a sake brewer. Mm, And Niigata is a part of Japan that is really well known for its sake breweries. And he did not become a sake brewer. He decided he wanted to become an actor. And while he was in Germany studying acting, he fell in love with German and Czech style beer. And so he decided to become a brewer. And he was one of the first microbrewers in Japan in the 90s after Japanese beer laws were loosened before the big four had a monopoly for many decades in Japan. And yeah, so this is 5.0, and as you can guess from the fact that the name of a special kind of rice is on it, it is a rice lager. And let's read the back now, shall we? Koshihikari Echigo beer. Koshihikari Echigo beer is a rice lager style beer that uses super premium short grain rice called Koshihikari. Produced in ideal rice growing regions of Niigata Prefecture, Koshihikari is known to be the best quality rice in Japan. The flavor of this premium beer can only be made with this rice. So I'm expecting it to have a lot more flavor notes than your average rice lager, which is usually bone dry and clean as a whistle. This can costs about $3, so very well affordable if you can find it. And pouring it into, of course, sort of Pilsner tasting glass. Oopsie, spilled a little bit on my pants. So, a bit darker yellow than the average rice lager, which is usually straw yellow. This is a bit more of a golden yellow with a fizzy to frothy head. No easy to read can date code there. So, grassy and floral hop notes, some straw-like notes. Underneath that, a bready malt base. But at the same time, also has some rice-like sweetness as well. Some minor fruity notes there. And onto the palate with it. Shall we? Mm. Light and refreshing, as a rice lager should be. But at the same time, carbonation bite is much less. Than your typical, Asahi Super Dry. And there is a lot more flavor there in the mids to finish. Top note is pretty much a continuation of what the nose was, with more spicy hop-like notes kind of coming through in the top note. Very clean finish, as it should be with the style. A thicker mouthfeel than what I'm used to with most rice lagers. Well, I wouldn't say that this is chewy. It is not, how should I say it? It's not as light as most rice lagers are. The flavor is evocative, much more of German beers, lighter body German beers, but not in a way that you can quite place. It's actually quite kind of interesting. You know, there's aspects of it there that could be almost Kolsch-like. There's aspects of it there that could be Pilsner-like. There's aspects of it there that could be more like a Helles. Just like in the nose, a subtle fruitiness in the mids that clears off in the finish. The bittering aspect of the hops is most prominent in the front to mids, but actually is not very apparent in the finish, even though the finish is clean. There is a higher level of sweetness than I would associate with the rice lager style or with most German styles. Actually, somewhat level of perceived sweetness is close to a Czech Pilsner style as opposed to a German Pilsner style. And the softness of it too is, reminiscent of that as well. Goes down very, very easy, as you can see here. And definitely feels like a 5.0. It doesn't feel lighter or heavier than what the ABV is. So, in summation, what can you say about this beer? This beer is a rice lager that is brewed to feel a bit more evocative of old world lager styles, but at the same time, not really placeable as like very much like any particular style or another. Like I said, it's probably closest to a Czech Pilsner, but like there's Kolsch aspects there, there's Helles aspects. The interesting thing is, even though that it kind of points out rice, type of rice is the main ingredient, doesn't really have much of the flavors of rice, the very light kind of puffed rice flavors I kind of associate with rice lagers. I don't know why that is, but I really do enjoy the fact that this is much richer in flavor than, your commercial mass market rice lagers. And yeah, I would definitely say that this, if you got this on the menu at a Japanese restaurant, this is the one I would go and pair with sushi. Just because I think it would go very well with the sushi rice, which has been sweetened a bit. While at the same time, still having the ability to go and clear the palate. So, Koshihikari Echigo beer. It's Echigo Beer Company of Niigata, Japan. Yeah, I would say this is definitely a must try in regards to the world of rice lagers. And I'm actually going to be exploring this brand a bit more. I noticed that I've never reviewed any of this brand and it kind of sits on the shelf at um, Tamura's. And it's remarkably affordable. It goes from about $3 to $4 for a can or a bottle. And if they're all as good as this, I think it's going to be a really interesting exploration. So I'm going to be exploring this for a little bit more, as well as other Japanese beers, including Japanese macro lagers, because they were the first beers that I drank really heavily, honestly enough. Like I said, before I drank mostly wine, I went to Japan and I started drinking much more beers and sakes. And that sort of set me on the path that I am right now, I suppose, of a guy with a growing beer belly. Well, folks, that is your beer review for this evening. Kampai!